Okay, let's get this set up. Stream should be going. Okay. Stream's going. I don't think anybody's here yet. I don't expect anyone to be here yet. Let's just get this started, and then we'll watch this guy's video. It's the one that, like I said though, if his video is like, if it's done more of like, you know, like the sprite battles, like what is it, like Death Battle has the whatever the fuck they're called, where it's just like the two little sprites fight. There's no reasoning behind it. It's just kind of like who they want to win. That's fine. If he tries to apply like feats and logic and like actually try and look at it like a versus match, then we'll have some fun. 2 streams in a day. Yeah, I mean they lined up on each other. I didn't plan on it, but we'll see. Second stream, let's go. Yep, second stream. So like I said, if you're interested, you know, there's just more content, extra content. So if you know you want to support, you know, throw $1 my way to become a member. You get priority comment visuals, so I can see your comments above everybody else, and you get your own email, your own badge. Oh, hang on, let me turn his volume down.
Like the J word. No, people misunderstood what I
can play an Asmongold video by mistake. Let me do that. Let me get this guy's video up. So let me get the display capture, and then we'll let me see real quick. Yeah, third monitor. I think it's on my. I wish it would tell me which one it's on. Nope. Well, it's because it's like, I feel like it's because it's showing through. So there's my Discord. Okay, here we go. It shows says display 2. That's weird. It should be display 1. Let me see. Is it working? Yeah. So we'll talk about this guy's stuff. I won't make it full screen because it's, I don't know if that's fair use. I don't know. I don't have a face reaction. I know it's mostly sound, but we'll talk about it. I'll just put him here. And yeah, I will address the feats as I go. But like I said, if it's literally just he's doing a sprite battle and he just wants to have the fight and he's just kind of doing it because he wanted to animate a sprite battle, fair enough. I can't complain about that. That's something that I can't really argue, because if he's doing it for fun and there's no other reason, okay. But if he's addressing feats, there'll be more to talk about, more for us to look at. Yeah, it'll make his arm long and then catch on fire. It'll probably be up like his feats with Kaido, like with blast breath, and it's like, do we really want to look at heat feats? Like Kaido's newest feat, and then like the spoilers, it's like on par with like base Alvarez Natsu's heat. Like impressive in this verse, but I mean like not comparatively to Natsu. It's not even close. So I'll pause this stuff to let me pause it real quick because his is about to go. Okay, I feel like he's gonna do a death battle. I feel like it's gonna be a death battle. Okay, let me press play. Okay. Shouldn't hate One Piece fans. They're not all bad. There's some that are just obnoxious. Does he have a narrator do with him? I think he is doing it like a death battle. Okay. Oh, he's literally just doing death battle. Okay. Okay. My first comment, I'm not gonna hate, but I mean like this is he's doing like literally death battle. Like it's he even stole like the whole opening thing. I'm not gonna hate. Do what the fuck you want. I don't care. If it's your hustle, whatever. All I'm saying is like, geez, man, you're doing like a 1-for-1. I don't think they have a copyright on it, but geez. Oh, he's really doing a death battle. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt of like, maybe it's just a fun thing. Maybe he's just like, he's starting to get into animation and this was his first. Okay. Obviously I'm not like, I'll say, my One Piece knowledge, I can't fact check everything. I know One Piece to like a regular level, but I'm guessing he will state One Piece feats in a way that is either going to be so crazy that they wouldn't make sense or logical. Like, I feel like it's going to be one of those two. Fair that I can look at and be like, okay, well, let's look at Natsu's feats, or like absurdly crazy Luffy statements. Like I can't confirm it. Somebody said like he said that like Luffy can like break stuff up at an atomic level with Rio, which is ridiculous, considering like he would have killed so many people. Like there's no mention of that at all. But anyway, let's just go. Again, granted, I don't know if that's a fact. Somebody told me that. I cannot confirm. That might just be them capping. Okay. Just the whole One Piece opening. Okay. It's not that. Is it magic? I don't think it's confirmed magic. I don't think that's important. I'm just saying. Oh, Johnny Depp. Relevancy. He downplays Naruto? Yeah, I saw he thought Naruto would lose to Luffy. That's absurd. I dropped One Piece after Skype, yeah? Really? It gets really good after that. Like, that's a good arc, but I like the CP9 arc, I think is really good. What a ripoff. I mean, like, it is like a 1-for-1. I won't hate, but I mean, like, damn, dude. Luffy spent the whole line trapped in a snake. I had no problem with Snake Boy. I wish I knew how long this was. It's a premiere, so I have no idea how long this video is. Like an hour long. That's like 99% of shonen. That's also like 99% of shonen. Bully Punch was cool. I always thought that part was hype. Does? I feel like Luffy doesn't like make up for his team. Like I don't know what weaknesses they have that he's like a makeup for. I guess lightning specifically. I don't know. Timeout. Timeout. You can't use this feat, and I'm going to tell you why. This is a feat that literally only came into play because of the gold ball. This is a complete extra variable that isn't normally in his arsenal, and on top of that, it's something that is so situational. Again, it's specifically a guy who is pretty much immune to lightning, so you can't really use him generally with lightning feats, for one. Two, he's using specifically something made that is conductive against electricity. Like gold isn't gold like a superconductor. And three, again, this is not something that's in his normal moveset. Like that by itself is a little bit of a problem. Like this would be like if I tried to use something like Jalal giving him the Flame of Rebuke. I'm trying to think of like a more specific power up. Maybe something closer to like the dark flame that he used in the Eclipse Spirit arc or something. Something where it's like, I don't like to use situational stuff, and it's not like a personal thing. I don't think it really makes sense to use a feat that is not normal in their repertoire. It'd be like trying to use Nightmare Luffy. But on top of that, like this isn't even just purely situational in terms of Luffy had this for a while. This is literally a two-factor of things that pretty much counter lightning and electricity going into lightning and electricity. So I think this by default is already a bit of a problem. And I'm not even going to go into consistency. Like, I mean, like really, you're gonna try and tell me like what is this? Let's 23. I'm trying to remember. I think is that country level. I'm trying to remember my numbers because I know it's like every 3 is like the next tier. Let me see. What is the exact number? That's so he's gonna try and claim. And again, this is another goofy thing. If you said specifically lightning in this scenario against lightning people, okay. But I mean that's purely because of how the rock paper scissors mechanics work of like hard elemental counters, elemental counters, not just like somebody's element is better. Like, and Nell literally couldn't damage Luffy with his lightning, so it's like any attack power from that, it's not going to do anything. But anyway, yeah, and then the consistency. Are you going to try and claim this Luffy is country level? That doesn't make sense, like even by One Piece logic. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Okay. See, this I'll say this is a problem already because attacks and anybody here, there's I can guarantee you can make this claim to a million people. Attack speed does not equal reaction speed, and on top of that, because it's like you can't look at one stat and immediately carry it over into another without it having a reason. And I would agree there are light speed feats within One Piece. I agree to that. But it doesn't really even make consistent sense to say that Luffy here is faster than light, considering Kizaru was baseline light speed, and he was absurdly faster than anybody when he showed up in, I'm trying to remember what it's pronounced, Sambodi Archipelago or whatever. So even if you like tried to use this and tried to justify it, it'd be an outlier, because it doesn't align consistently with anything. It wouldn't make sense. Like, this would be like legitimately if you tried to use, I'm trying to think of like a random feat. I can't think of like a random feat off the top of my head that would kind of be like some absurd thing. I guess it'd be like if you tried to say like Gajil in the fighting festival, because he dodged Laxus's lightning. Laxus's lightning is better than real lightning, so it must mean he's way faster than lightning. And it was at a point where he was much further away from Levy, and he pretty much blitzed the bolt from one, like it needing to travel like a couple more feet. As much as that is like a crazy feat, it wouldn't make sense consistency wise. So I'm gonna go back to playing it. I was just saying, like, that's like a basic thing that you can't really do. That's a very baseline scaling and power and calc thing that you can't. It's a rule break by itself, and it's automatically like an outlier. This also doesn't make sense. Like, Luffy wasn't nearly this strong at pre-gears. That's goofy. Why would you bring it up then? If it's legitimately only because of a power compatibility thing, why would you even bring it up? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that's literally just, you're bringing it up to hype it up for no reason. It's like when Death Battle brings up a form and then doesn't use it. It's weird. Like, it's literally like trying to be like, yeah, this is a feat, but not really. Let me give you a number, but it doesn't really count, sort of, but I'm going to count it. Just saying. That's a bad move. Okay. What animation was that? That was a weird animation scene. Is that from a movie? It's like, what, like Mach 5? No, I mean, it only really works against, like, blunt force and lightning. Turn up the audio? Yeah, I'll turn it up. Is that better? Is that better? Against various government super spies. Oh Lord. Is he gonna? Are they gonna use power level numbers? If they say that because he beat Bluno, whose power level is 820, and then you say like, well, he beat a guy who's more than what, like 5 times almost stronger than him, then Luffy's like this point is automatically a ×5 multiplier. I really, really hope that's not the argument. I really hope that's not the argument. Let's see. The gear second must increase all his abilities by 5 times and allows him to. No, it wouldn't. Like, there's. Oh my god, that's some Dragon Ball Z scaling. Like, a character stronger. For one, a character stronger doesn't automatically mean that every stat is going to scale equally. 2. This is like overall power. You need variables. This is their overall power. This isn't even like, oh, his speed is a 3 while Lucci's is a 9, so it's like 3 times faster. This is like some weird, vague overall power thing. This is like when 7LE sends people try and take the power levels and do some crazy multiplier things with it. Like, this is already kind of goofy. Oh my god. Like, I can call so many of their predictions. I already know they're going to bring up, like, feats for Luffy's heat resistance. Like, things like Red Hawk. Probably something with the Kainu. Maybe, like, Kaido's Blast Breath and try and use that as, like, an argument against Natsu's heat. But they won't go into heat feats. That's my guess. I'm going to make that claim right now. The multiplier by itself, I mean, if you want, you can go with it. Like, you can do crazier shit with Natsu. Actually, you know what? I'm curious to know what they're going to say about Dragon Force. Because I can tell you right now, Dragon Force factually, because Natsu and Gray are equal in base. Gray with Lost Aspect, it's a multiple 100 times multiplier. It can only up to seal a weaker Zeref. Fairy Heart Zeref, much more powerful. Natsu is with Dragon Force able to destroy his whole body, which also checks and makes sense, as we've seen Dragon Force has increased dramatic levels enough that it is to the point where like someone like the first instance Natsu, who was a foot soldier still in his guild, somebody who Jalal could trash, and then Natsu with Dragon Force completely obliterated him. Similar to Zero. Wendy with Easel is another example. Like the multiplier is by several hundred times with Dragon Force. I assume he's not gonna go full like their biggest things. If he mentions Natsu's form against Mercephobia and still thinks Luffy's gonna win, I'm gonna fucking... It's gonna be like a hysterically funny lose my mind. But anyway, let's just keep going.
Be able to move way faster than even characters who can dodge lightning can see.
Hang on. Right here. Bam. Right here. This is another example. If he's supposed to already be faster than light going into the CP9 arc, base Luffy people, like people that scale off of base Luffy, should already be lightning speed. Or sorry, light speed plus. So a character that's whole thing is like dodging lightning wouldn't even really be a feat. And on top of that, it wouldn't even... It would automatically debunk the first claim, because it would show more towards consistency. Because also, it would make more sense, logically, if the characters who were dodging lightning, fairly dodging lightning, and then the next arc even having lightning feats, because there are feats in Skype of them dodging lightning. And what's her name? Khalifa or whatever? I don't remember her name. I remember her dodging lightning from one of Nami's clouds, so it's from a cloud, so it should be lightning speed. The next arc, a character, Kizaru, not the direct next arc, I know there's like a chunk in between, but specifics. An arc, going from people who are lightning speed and then going to Kizaru, who was absurdly faster than them, it shows consistency-wise that they wouldn't have been light speed before, because if they have consistent lightning feats, and then a character who actually is light speed, who logically not only has statements saying he does stuff at light speed, but also has a power that logically would make him light speed, that would mean that the whole statements beforehand don't make sense. And on top of that, I already brought up the fact that claiming that his attacks, even if they were light speed, that wouldn't make... It wouldn't mean that Luffy being able to hit him before he could react makes him light speed, because just because his attack speed is that doesn't mean his reaction speed is. Anel's offensive power was way higher than any of his other stats. For instance, his reaction speed wasn't nearly as crazy. Luffy wasn't just low-key dodging lightning like nothing. He was no different because of obviously rubber versus lightning. And on top of it, Luffy gets completely demolished by the Fairy Tail Guild. There's so many people in there, Sugoi-ki, it's not even funny. Like, Gray could just... Frozen. Done. Sorry, guy. Like, Natsu can kill him by standing there. Like, it's not even funny. I mean, I guess I'm doing the Natsu versus Luffy video right now. But yeah, the whole fact that... See, I lost my train of thought. The whole fact that, like, characters consistently doing stuff with lightning... But, I was talking about Enel stats. Enel consistently, like, one, you wouldn't be able to say baseline attack speed is higher, or his reaction speed is faster than attack speed. There's nothing to prove that. You don't get that off the bat. You have to have feats for it. And especially for a character who's already shown that he has massive gaps in his stats. He's able to do these absurd lightning feats, and then you see Luffy pre-gears, who, like, at best has, like, multi-city block feats, is clobbering him. Because he's a character, again, consistently and logically, a character who is not used to taking damage. A Logia, who's never before had run into somebody who could hit him, isn't going to be that durable because he's not used to getting hit. That makes sense. So let's just see where he can continue to go somewhere. I already know that he's going to downplay Natsu feats. I know so bad. I can feel it in my fucking bones.
His next gear, Gear 3rd, functions very differently than his Gear 2nd.
He just gets big.
By blowing air into his bones, he can increase his fist size to that of a giant. This increases specifically Luffy's striking power by a massive amount. And
Natsu's
while Luffy
fought bigger things.
After using it, this side effect went away after he was made to spend 2 years on an island training against hundreds of monsters who were much stronger than he was at the time.
Of course, Luffy wasn't only training his gears on that island, but was under the tutelage of Silver's Rayleigh. Rayleigh taught Luffy how to use a mysterious power known as Haki.
Oh boy, here we go. Haki is a wild power. Most who awaken Haki can manifest it in two ways.
All I'm gonna say is this part is, I feel like this is gonna be one of those Haki people who like think Haki does like absurd things, like things not shown. Like I said, if I hear something about if I hear the thing about like him destroying atoms, I'm gonna be so agitated. Just because it's like, when have we seen that? When have we seen anything like atomic destruction in One Piece? You can't just assume atomic destruction. Literally everything the dude said was wrong. Damn, I can't stand One Piece fans. There's a lot of stuff that makes no sense of what he said. Like, it's like, it'd be like if I actually used the Ultier statement, where Ultier says she's shrinking alternate universes and timelines and throwing them into people infinitely. It's like, that's a statement, but I mean, like, do you know what cap is and consistency is? But anyway, I'll keep going. Granted, I'm not gonna hate him. I don't know the guy from obviously a personal standpoint. My takes on him are all anime weeb stuff. So any of my criticisms is obviously towards the subject, not towards him. I just want to put that out there. I don't want to seem like I'm being a jerk.
Is Kinbu Shoku, also known as Observation Haki. Observation Haki has numerous abilities, but most notable being its ability to sense an opponent's movement, locations, and even being able to predict their next attack by sensing their intent.
I mean, the thing though about like Future Sight is you can beat it just by AoE.
Like imagination.
People can strengthen Observation Haki to the point of even glimpsing a bit into the future.
Okay, I know that. Katakuri, yeah.
See over 3 minutes into the future, though Luffy's future sight doesn't seem to let him see so far.
No, it's factually not.
The second flavor of Haki is armament Haki. This Haki allows the
please don't mention the atoms. Please don't.
To increase the power of their attack.
I want to believe that he didn't say that. I really want to believe he didn't say that. I'll put my faith in him.
Also has an anti-magic effect, allowing users.
What? What? You say Haki is anti-magic? What? What the fuck are you talking about? Devil fruits aren't magic. Devil fruits are like a genetic thing. They don't even have a power system. Haki is their power system. They are not magical. He tries to tell me that Haki anti-magic cancels Natsu. Jesus Christ. What the hell? I've never heard that claim before. Armament Haki is anti-magic. The literal only time, like, correct me if I'm wrong, is there any time there's anything brought up in One Piece that's like a claim about anything being magical other than Kinemon's fruit? Kinemon's fruit, didn't they say it like had magic properties or something? Like, what the fuck? yeah, Asta stole Luffy's, I guess reverse. Luffy stole Asta's whole flow.
Punch opponents who would otherwise be untouchable. Characters like Caesar Cloud.
That's not what it does, though. The thing is, like, even I know this. Haki's saying it lets you hit the direct person. It lets you hit their true self, as it said. That's why Haki, even buffing Haki, didn't do anything to Big Mom's homies against Prometheus and Zeus, because their actual bodies are just being intangible. So somebody like Ace or Caesar Clown or anybody, you use Haki, bam, their intangibility doesn't matter because you're gonna directly hit them. It's not anti-magic. That's ridiculous. I've never heard that claim before, but that's one of the goofiest things I've heard from a One Piece fan. Like, that sounds so much like a One Piece fan trying to find a way that they can fight, like, hacks magic people. Like, they're just making up hacks because the verse has, like, dog shit hacks in comparison. Yeah, he's gonna say Logias are magic. But it's like, if Logias were magic... Let me say this right now. I'm gonna give a... This is my... I gotta channel like a Karen moment. Like, I gotta do the clap. The reason that people don't assume magic lightning and things that don't occur naturally are the speed of lightning, or things like light, is because they wouldn't occur scientifically. They wouldn't occur like their natural counterparts. That's why in cases where, like, instead where, like, a magic lightning cloud produces lightning, it's still assumed to be lightning speed because it is produced out of a cloud in the same, logically at least that we would understand, scientific way that lightning is dispensed, versus like a character literally just throwing a lightning bolt. That's the reason that Kizaru and Enel, despite having a weird power that their abilities come from, people assume that his lightning is lightning speed, Kizaru's light is light speed, because they're not magical. They're not, like, they are supposed to be the real world versions. I think even, I put Akainu above, not above God Serena, but like above General Wizard Saint level. Like, if I had to put a spot for him, I'd put him kind of like in that in-between of like Wizard Saint area where like Mardgear and Hades are. But, I think there's, I'd have to go look. I can't I'd have to get this fact checked. I'm pretty sure Oda even said himself that the Logia versions are the real elements. Like, they are the natural versions, not magic. That's ridiculous. We keep going.
Wow. Literally.
Also, I also want to say, like, as much as it's like goofy that like I'm tearing, like I'm going at his One Piece logic as he is a One Piece fan. It's gonna be bad when I get to his fairy tale part. It's gonna be bad. I can feel it in my fucking bones.
Turns into gas.
Okay.
Or Kizaru, who is living light. Armament Haki has also been shown to have incredibly high resistance
Hang on.
to lightning.
The top one, is that from the anime? That's filler. The second one is with in Wano, but isn't that top part in filler? Because that's Foxy. And I don't recognize the other guy, but that's Foxy. And Foxy, I don't think he comes back outside of one of the movies, right? Or an anime arc or something. I know he comes back, I think, in some filler, but that's filler. Really? We're using filler now? Okay.
Attacks, even if they're not magic.
Got it. I knew it. I knew he's about to try and claim, he's going to claim that these heat feats come anywhere close to Natsu's, and I know this is going to be bad. I knew it. Hang on, we just wait for it.
Luffy regularly uses Haki to protect
Okay.
himself from the fire of this red hawk, and that is powerful enough to make fire underwater.
That's like original, like very beginning of series Natsu has better heat feats. Like he was boiling steel.
Gear 4. Despite being made for power over speed, and despite looking more goofy than it has any right to look, Gear 4's Bound Man is capable of moving faster.
I like Snake Man more than Bound Man. Oh,
It can move
lordy.
at sharp angles while flying. It is strong enough to casually shatter strings that were tough enough to tank the full force of one of Marine Admiral Fujitori's meteors, and still retain its rubberiness. Gear 4 is so powerful that one punch caused a shock.
I always liked that he could kind of fly with that.
Kilometers. That's larger.
That's, let me just say right now, that's like his big feat. Natsu in Fire Dragon King mode, like he vaporized a 50-mile lake without even making direct contact and with one attack. This was, at the time, this was Luffy's biggest attack. He only recently got an attack bigger than King Kong gun.
In the city of Chicago.
Okay, keep going.
Speaking of less speed and the force of the pressure, we can find this punch would be charged with nearly 1,290 teratons of TNT.
See this right here. This is a good example right here. So allegedly, I'll just use this as like an example. One also, he used the anime version. The manga doesn't have that shockwave, so we're using anime feats now. Which we're using anime feats. Natsu gets crazier. But say you took the Luffy feat he said earlier. What was it, like 230 or 240 teratons? Luffy only being in fourth gear, strongest attack he'd ever done at this point, only being what, like a little over 5 times. No, it's like 6 times, like between like 5 to 6 times stronger than where he was in Skypia. Makes no sense. Like that, it makes no sense. And that's what I was talking about with consistency. Like people like this they ignore consistency. They go purely for feats just to push power levels.
Shatter these strings as well. Luffy's Snake Man variation of Gear 4.
Yeah, I like Snake Man way more.
Bound Man
Snake Man's
makes up
cool.
for it with its starting speed, the fact that it can move at sharp angles, and that it actually gets faster the more he stretches, meaning that Luffy will almost always have the maneuverability advantage and the speed advantage when using this form.
Yet, this is by no...
What? Okay, that statement, I'm not going to stay on that. That made no sense. You can't say Luffy in this form is going to have a speed advantage on people. Like, that's not how that works. You literally have to look at speed feats. Nobody's going to be like Sonic the Hedgehog chaos control against Luffy, but like, what if Luffy goes Snake Man? It's like, that's not how that works. Like, you look at feats. You don't just say that he's automatically going to be faster because he has a form that is fast. It's not how that works.
No meets his limit. You see, Luffy has become many times stronger.
I wonder if he's going to mention
point
5th
that
gear.
He could contend with the Emperor Kaido. while
Kaido's
his
like a
own
mid-tier in
form.
Fairy Tail.
Previously, Kaido Kaido knocked out Gear 4 Boundman with a single hit.
Natsu could do that in base. Like, not even close.
Several times stronger than Boundman was back when he did this.
While using observation Haki and armament Haki,
I mean, I can understand that kind of like direct scaling, because I think that makes sense. As much of a big jump it is that's fact. Like Luffy's doing better in base now than he is in that he did with 4th gear gets cut first time. I can agree to that.
Conqueror's Haki is the embodiment of the user's spirit and can be unleashed in a blast that knocks out all opponents whose wills are too weak to stand against the user.
They try to claim that can knock Natsu out. I'm gonna write this guy an angry letter. I'm not really about to cheese this.
50,000 opponents in one shot.
Natsu ran through 100,000 opponents.
With his force of will alone.
Yeah, it's a trash hammer.
Just one application of Conqueror's Haki. A small handful of the.
Just real quick, why would you bring that up? I mean, like, that's cool, but it's like the Conqueror's Haki stuff, like knocking out people. That's like a trash hammer. It only works on fodder. Like, Luffy's never knocked anybody irrelevant out with his Conqueror's Haki. Like, never. Like, it's always been, like, random fodder dudes.
Strongest can coat their weapon and physical attacks with it, really augmenting their power, allowing them to channel their full power into their attack. When two fighters who can use Conquerors in this way clash, the resulting devastation is so great that it splits the very skies above.
Guildarts can do that by himself.
Yet, despite all his power,
Part
Luffy
1.
still hasn't achieved what he set out to achieve. You see, Luffy
Like
never
part 1
set out
Luffy,
to
or part 1
defeat
Natsu, whose
or to
base is
conquer the
way
world.
stronger than.
Luffy's goal was simply to become the man with the most freedom, and in his eyes, that would be whoever holds the title of the Pirate King.
Okay, he's after Luffy's part. Oh god, we're about to get to Natsu's part. I like to see being drunk as a power in Fairy Tail. Bacchus has that.
In a land far, far away lies the kingdom of Fior.
It's Fiore.
Nation filled with magic.
Already a
For most,
tell.
magic
They don't know what they're
is
talking about in
a
Fairy Tail.
main part of everyday life. For
Let's
others,
see.
however, magic is an art.
There's gonna be a lot of pauses here. I can feel it.
Dedicated their lives to
Just
its
wait.
mastery. These are the wizards. Banded together into magical guilds, they use their skill in search of fame and fortune. But there is a certain guild in a certain town, a guild from which countless legends have been born, and will doubtless continue to create legends well into the future. Its name is Fairy Tail.
Of the many legends that this
Okay.
guild has produced, there is one who's managed to burn his
There's
way
not
into
actually
the
a lot of
history
legends.
for a number of reasons. Fairy Tail's
Like,
resident
Natsu's more of,
rival,
like, current
Fire
day
Dragon Slayer
heat.
Natsu Dragon.
Natsu grew up like
Hang on,
any
pause
normal
it.
child.
There's a Ranon said that they ignored 100 Years Quest entirely, which I find hilarious. But also, he doesn't need that. He can beat him in Alvarez. Like, it's not even close.
Being taught how to read, write, and breathe fire from his father Igneo, who also happens to be a dragon. Okay, so it isn't so typical of a childhood.
Speak for yourself.
What?
Never mind. Natsu
Okay.
had a rather picturesque few years of childhood.
Let's see,
until
we'll talk
on
about
July
Natsu's
7th, year
feats.
777, when his father, Igneo, disappeared without a trace, leaving an incredibly young Natsu wandering alone in the world without any shadow of a hint that could help him see Igneo again. Eventually, Natsu's wandering led him to the Fairy Tail Guild, which quickly became his new home and its members his
We're
new
waiting.
family.
I'm waiting for
and
them
God
feats.
save anyone who threatens them when Natsu is within earshot.
I don't know how many more
Oh, the dub. I don't hate Todd Habercorn, but like the dub isn't even nearly as good as the sub. Todd Habercorn's good, but I definitely prefer the dub or the sub over the
Unlike
dub
other
for sure.
wizards who wield relatively modern magic, Natsu
What?
wields an ancient lost magic.
There's a lot of characters
known
with lost
as
magic.
Dragon Slayer magic, making Natsu the fire dragon.
I mean, that's what I wanted to say in the main
He
cast,
can
excluding
ignite
Wendy.
any part of his body for
Let me read these real quick. Has fire dragon has dragon senses. Can make his fire can become solid. He can also touch fire like it's solid. Can eat magma. Not necessarily. He can't eat magma. Natsu has taken in molten steel, but he pretty much absorbed the heat of it, and then it went right back to just being a ball of metal. That's not accurate. Become a thought projection. He can't do that at will. Minor transformation magic. I don't know why you would bring that up. Dragon Slayers can't see ghosts. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. Like, this already, to me, you can't see it. Let me put my cursor on screen. This already is a problem. I can tell that one, There's going to be probably 2 factors. They probably bring up Mavis, which is only because of the guild, and 2, there's only the fact that people could see Wraith because it's only Dragon Slayers that could see him. That's not because ghosts. That's because Wraith specifically is a Dragon Slayer ghost, like he's a spirit Dragon Slayer. Sold the Grand Magic Game, slayed Animus, killed 973 enemies, 1 shot. That's not true. It wasn't a 1 shot. He misspelled Zareth and Gajia Lax. How do you misspell all these names? I wish this guy had like a crazy accent, so it's like, well, maybe that's not his first language. But it's like, this just to me says like he doesn't know how to spell the names because he doesn't know anything about Fairy Tail. Survived being impaled by spikes. Survived more than that. Eaten God Slayer fire. Yes. An explosion while it explodes. Yes. Only Dragon Slayers have... Wait. Only Dragon Slayers... Wait. Only Dragon Slayer to have slayed a dragon. That...
Acnologia? Acnologia? What? What?
I mean, Irene had to have killed tons of dragons. She was literally a Dragon Slayer in a war against dragons. What the fuck? Natsu is not the only Dragon Slayer who's killed a dragon. Like, are we gonna bring up literally all of Diablo's? Like, let's continue.
Attacks, high speed flight, and even breathe fire like an actual dragon.
Are they gonna...
Being created
I-
by a dragon to kill
I bet they're not
dragons,
gonna mention
this
Natsu
magical
heat
art
feats.
is meant to
I feel like
break
they're not gonna
dragon's
mention
scales,
Natsu heat
crush
feats.
dragon's guts, and even kill its very soul.
I'm gonna say this right now. If you're gonna bring up this feat and like this dialogue, I don't believe that, like the dialogue for sure. Like the thing about breaking their scales, yes, because that's part of the reason that Dragon Slayers are needed to fight dragons, because their dragon scales mess with magic, nullify magic. Destroying their soul, like saying it's crush its guts. I feel like this is one of those like overhyped parts because it's like, I feel like that's a really weird statement in general. But saying, let me see this, the mechanics of Dragon Slayer magic is very vague, but this kill of Dragon Soul is likely referring to the ability to see interactive spiritual beings. What? What? Time out. I'll say this. I don't agree with the idea that like Dragon Slayers can just destroy souls. For one, this claim is ridiculous. And it's a ridiculous claim on this side saying it's like because they can see souls. That doesn't make sense. That's not why they can see, like there's no single part in the series where that's everything. Not once. That's never been a thing. The thing though that I'm gonna say is, if you take any claim from Luffy in One Piece and then run with it, but then take a claim from Fairy Tail and then try and brush it off, that's downplay. Like that by itself already, this video would be a complete debunk. Oh, pretty much almost just from this. The extreme bias, not only to Luffy, but the clear lack of knowledge to Natsu is horrendous. Like that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense not only from the context of the series, but it doesn't make sense in the context of what they're doing in this video. Like, it doesn't make sense. You can't pick and choose, okay, we're going to take the statements from this one, but ignore the statements for this one without reason. Granted, if you took some weird claim, you had something in like One Piece where it's like, okay, you have a confirmation, data book stuff, or like follow-up consistency something, but then it's like something like this where there's nothing following from it, I would agree. But it's very clear that one is they don't know anything about Fairy Tail, and 2, the bias. Like, it's very big bias. If this whole thing wasn't there in the corner, I'd say like I would agree that it's not something that just destroys souls. I don't think that Natsu's secret art is destroying souls. But the whole thing of like trying to say the mechanics has something to do with seeing spiritual beings, that's not a thing. That's not a thing in Fairy Tail at all. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
It is even potent enough to cause internal damage in just one hit.
That's not because of dragon slaying magic. That's because Acnologia was like absurdly more powerful than him. Because in the manga, you actually see during this specific part with Cobra and Acnologia, when he hits Cobra, you see the force of the attack go through his body, and it's in the shape of a claw. You see he's literally hitting him so hard that the force is going in through his body. That's not because he's a Dragon Slayer. That doesn't make sense.
And on top of that, Natsu's magic even granted him a dragon's stomach as well.
That's because all their organs are dragonized.
Fire to replenish any lost magical power, or even increase his own power by many times over. Of course, he can't eat his own fire, as that's kind of gross. It would be like eating your own pet.
Can't eat your own fire.
Outside that,
Can't eat their own
there is
attributes.
no fire that's off limits. Though different types of fire range greatly in their magical potency.
Hold on.
However,
Time out. Time out. Time on the play. Time out on the play. Hold on a second.
though different types of
This is from 100 Years Quest. This is a 100 Years Quest panel. So he acknowledges 100 Years Quest, and apparently he doesn't use 100 Years Quest feats. This by itself is a debunk. This by itself, if the claim that he is not using 100 Years Quest feats, and I'll wait till I get past the Natsu part, if he's doing this, that by itself is a debunk. Because it's outright ignoring feats you are aware of to push an idea. And I think that by itself is so biased to the point where there's no way you would be able to look at this video through like a fair scope. It's very clear it'd just be through it would just be through being a Luffy fan. One second. But yeah, this by itself would be a debunk. Like this is ridiculous. This one scene again. I'm gonna wait. He kinda used them. How do you say kinda? What do you mean kinda? Like let me say this. Natsu tanked Suzaku's Black Blade Purgatory Slash 7 chapters ago, which is 14 weeks, more than 3.5 months. That's a large planetary feat. Okay, let me continue. Oh, fuck. I accidentally skipped to a bad part. Let me see. Right here. That's my bad.
like eating your own pet. But out.
Let me fast forward a bit. Yeah, that by itself would be a debunk. You can't ignore feats like that, like outright. Like that's super disingenuous.
However, even only a few natural flames can completely refill Natsu's magic and put him back in the fight.
With this incredible magic at the tip of his fingers, along with his
Get to the
wild
feats
and
already.
carefree
I haven't heard him talk about any Natsu
attitude,
feats.
appears to be incredibly accidentally destructive. Even on jobs that normally wouldn't require him to use even a fraction
I'm
of
waiting.
his
I'll be
power,
patient a
he
little
just
bit.
can't help himself. Fortunately, he is fast enough to get away from the catastrophe he causes without getting caught. In fact, calling Natsu fast would be an understatement.
Let's
He
hear
has
the speed
gone
feats.
toe-to-toe with the Iron Dragon Slayer Gajeel,
What
who
is-
can
what?
outrun lightning. Taking this frame by frame, we
Why are you using why are they using Fighting Festival feats? Why are they using Fighting Festival feats? Look at stuff Galaxia Blade, Natsu with Sting and Rogue, the Guild Arts completely no diffing, blitzing light speed from point blank range with a smile on his face, absolutely zero effort whatsoever. That's ridiculous. I'll keep going, but I'm just saying, like this would be like if I was gonna talk about Luffy feats and my speed feat claim was from East Blue. But keep going.
discover that Gajeel covers the same distance the lightning moves in
Oh, I
about
hit my
half
mic.
the time. This would put Gajeel at exactly 659,700.
Are they gonna use this and claim this is Natsu's top speed or something?
Natsu
Oh
has
wait.
beaten him since then.
Yet that is by no means his fastest.
Okay, I will give him the fact they brought it up. Okay, come on. What?
Kept up with a white tiger dragon slayer, Haku, and
Oh my fucking god. I knew this feat would come around at some point. I'm gonna say, I've gone into this so many times. I'll give the TLDR. First, I'll say this for facts. Let me just say this factually real quick. If you tried to even claim and say for a fact that like you were completely against any form of consistency and knowledge of other feats and tried to just go off of this, Wendy and Base reacted to it. Natsu and Base is absurdly stronger than Wendy, and Natsu with Dragon Force is a multiple 100 times multiplier. So even if you only went with this would still mean baseline Natsu is faster than light, and Dragon Force is hundreds of times faster than light. There's obviously way more speed feats, but this already, like, he's lowballing super hard. He's not going for mostly Natsu feats. He's going for feats to compare them to, not directly mentioning anything Natsu's done. This is, like, super downplay. He's going around feats just to try and ignore actually looking at what Natsu has, but he's using people weaker than Natsu to try and compare to Natsu, which if you were going to use things for bare minimum. But why would you do that if you already had feats by himself? That's all I'm saying.
He can move at light speed. So
Lordy.
being a Dragon Slayer as well.
Oh, and just real quick, there's what?
Natsu should scale to Wendy.
Natsu's absurdly strong on Wendy. That's ridiculous. For one, two. Just because I wanted to bring it up because like if anybody watched this video and wonders what I mean by like there's more context. One, Haku's claim was that white tiger dragons move at light speed. He is not a white tiger dragon slayer. None of his abilities, combat-wise or anything, would come from that because he is a dragon eater. All of his powers, abilities, and capabilities are from the dragon he ate. So the abilities of another dragon would not apply to him. That's what I'm saying. Like, people need to know context. Like, you can just make a claim and then give absolutely zero insight to it. Nothing that actually like looks into like what happened in the verse. Like, this would be like. Let me see something real quick. I don't know the panel. There's the you can look. It's what's his name, Gazelle Man or whatever from One Piece. Like Luffy getting outran by a 200-kilometer-an-hour fodder horseman. This would be like me using that feat and saying, well, Luffy's not that fast. Characters in One Piece still get hit by bullets. Like the downplay is disgusting. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep going.
However, eating and breathing fire is only a small part of what Fire Dragon Slayer magic can do, and Natsu would soon learn to tap into his own full potential to unlock his Dragon Force.
Are you gonna mention the multiplier?
While this ability started out as a byproduct of him consuming.
He hasn't talked about any of Natsu's feats.
He later learned how to activate it without having to consume any extra fire. This Dragon Force increases
some
his
feats,
powers by
man.
upwards of 3 times.
Why are you mentioning Natsu can do it on his own, but not mention the points where Natsu does it on his own? This is this right here. This is from Natsu versus Zero. If there's people here that aren't fairy tale knowledge, this is from Natsu versus Zero. This is an artificial way of achieving Dragon Force by intaking their attribute with enough power that forces them into the state of Dragon Force. An artificial Dragon Force is not even close to the stats of true Dragon Force. A Dragon Slayer actually achieving Dragon Force is an immense power boost. They jump multiple tiers. And I will give an example. If you took Luffy from his first encounter with Kaido and gave him Dragon Force, he would have got up and crushed him. Because the gap between like those two characters has been present in times where characters achieve the pseudo Dragon Force or actual Dragon Force and demolish people who are tiers above them. This is a horrible, horrible example. Yeah, let's just keep going.
However, it wasn't long until Natsu learned the truth about
Also, if you're gonna use power levels and stuff and try and use that as like direct multipliers, it's funny how he doesn't do it for fairy tale or anything. That's all I'm saying.
Dragon Slayer magic. While it was created to slay dragons, long-term usage of it will actually transform the user into a dragon, granting them far more power, but causing them
But
to lose their
Natsu can't do that, so why bring it up?
The only reason that
They can still shapeshift. We have multiple examples of that. It's so agitating when people who don't know anything about fairy tale talk about fairy tale, because it's just like, I do have a headache, Jeff, because it's just like, it agitates me when people talk about stuff that they don't really know. Like, I don't like to talk about like verse stuff for series I haven't read, and obviously like stuff I have a general gist of. At least I have that, but like I don't really try to do anything that it. Yeah. Evan did brought up the fact, like that's another one. Natsu in base did 1/100th million damage to Alderaan, where Natsu in his Ethereal Dragon Force beat somebody equal to Alderaan with a couple of hits, meaning that his strongest form is literally at least double-digit millions of times stronger than his base. I don't remember Fairy Tale power level system like in numbers. I mean, you can look at direct tiers, though. I mean, you can look at stuff like the guild card or the Tartaros guild cards. You can look at like the stats they were given in the Grand Magic games. You can literally just look at actual like statements of numbers. Like I said, Lost Aspect by itself is hundreds of times multiplier. Dragon Force is a bigger multiplier than that by feats. Like there are feats directly there. Natsu did more damage to somebody that Gray would at best would be able to only seal. Is Igneous Flame Amp stronger than Dragon Force? Yeah, because it's like it's Dragon Force and is Ethereal's powers. At least that, and not fully confirmed, but I feel like it's obvious.
Transformed was because, as it turns out, Igneo himself had gone inside Natsu to prevent the dragonification from happening at all. But the two.
Okay, I had to pause it again. I understand now why he's bringing this up, but now going into why like Igneo prevented it, he's gonna try and downplay Natsu now. He's gonna try and like say his Dragon Force or something is weaker, or like his power is like capped because of Igneo, which isn't true. He tried, and Natsu actually has become more dragon-like since then.
Two major sources of Natsu's power began to merge and threaten Natsu's life.
This
They-
led Natsu
Why did they even not? They didn't even bring up the demon stuff.
power from only one of two
Oh
seeds
lordy,
down.
are they gonna say Natsu got weaker from this?
In
Please
the end,
don't. Please don't.
Natsu
Please
did
don't.
one
Please
of the
don't.
most unshonen protagonist things and rejected both seeds of power, choosing instead to stay.
Please
as
don't
a
claim he got
and
weaker.
Fight his battles with his own power.
In the end, it turned out this wasn't a bad choice, as Natsu can use his own fire dragon slaying magic to incorporate
What's the
other
point of that, then?
elemental magic into his own.
That's not a Natsu thing. That's a thing because of Dragon Slayer Lacrium is now Dragon Slayer Lacrium's work.
He goes fire.
With his lightning dragon mode, he can mix lightning into his fire attacks, and with Fire Dragon King mode, he can boost his fire
Hang on.
attacks. And with Fire Dragon King mode,
This is Dragon Force. This is Dragon Force. This is from chapter 532. This is Dragon Force. This is not Fire Dragon King mode. We've seen Natsu go into Fire Dragon King mode. It does not look like this. You can literally see the scales on his face. You can see his slit irises. This... oh my God. How? This has been worse than I thought. Like, this is actually way worse than I thought it was going to be. Oh, God damn it. I clicked it again. Hang on. Right here.
mode, he can boost his firepower to the point where he can burn magic itself. It doesn't really even...
He's been doing that since the Grand Magic Games. He can do that in base. How the fuck are you gonna make a video like this and ignore basic feats? Holy shit. This is the most One Piece fan making a absurdly one-sided fight for the sake of trying to make One Piece characters seem stronger I've ever seen. Legitimately. Like, how do you claim stuff that is debunked without even needing a fraction of a second to look into it? He burns, like we have literally, he burns off Sting's white dragon claw on his stomach. Well, I'm not talking about when he burned it in the Urasion Seis arc, because that was, like I said, I don't really count times where it's like a specific temporary power-up. They don't use 5th gear for Luffy, it wouldn't matter. 5th gear for Luffy is like, 5th gear for Luffy at the very best is like, Natsu might have to go into Fire Dragon King mode maybe, but I mean, he's gonna, not really, I mean, base he can one-shot him now, to be perfectly honest. If we were talking about Alvarez, then he might need to go into Fire Dragon King mode. But I'm saying, like, I don't really count the Flame of Rebuke one when I was talking about points with Natsu, because, like, that wasn't done because of his own power. That was because of Jalal.
matter what kind of magic it is, he can burn it. He has burned through death curses, the portal of the demon whale, and even time magic itself.
Okay, two things. Why they bring up Natsu burning out of a dimension, but they don't say anything about the feat. This literally says time itself. They says magic, my magic, time itself. Zerf differentiates between the two. Again, why did they look at feats and they go super into anything for Luffy, but they completely ignore everything for Natsu? This is what I'm talking about. Like, One Piece fans are so biased.
However, his fire can become too powerful and reaches levels that his own body simply can't take.
The fact they would show this, the fact they show this form and think Luffy or anybody in One Piece could do anything to the version of Natsu that did this against Mercephobia is fucking ridiculous. I will debate this guy on stream if he wants to. I doubt he's going to watch this video. Let me just say this. This version of Natsu, like I said, he's legit by feats, statements, information,
at least double-digit millions of times stronger than himself. And this fire is so potent, both characters who have come into contact with it had powers burnt out of their body, abilities erased. For what it's a concept, not magic. It's both. It's both magic and a concept, because Zeref had time magic by itself, but he needed to get control of the concept of time. But that's what I'm saying. Like, people need to understand context, and it's very clear these guys don't know anything about Fairy Tail whatsoever, and it really shows.
And it starts burning him. Natsu continued to grow, using his own power.
Like, notice how they bring up stuff that like can hurt Natsu and stuff. Okay, let's see how this goes.
Water dragon god Mercophobia, while using Dragon Force and a Super Dragon Force respectively.
Super Dragon Force.
In fact, it was stated
That's
that
not what it's
Natsu
called.
would need to earn about
Okay, hang on.
1 million of his Dragon King
Okay.
bonus on all
They are
rounds
bringing
in
this
which
feat, so what are they gonna? How are they gonna not say that's? How are they not gonna say that like that Natsu doesn't destroy Luffy with this? The fact they bring this up, how do you bring this up and think Luffy stands a chance? How do you think Luffy stands a chance with this? What? I at least had the hopes, like from that comment earlier, that they'd ignored all of 100 Years Quest feats. Why are they bringing this up and think Luffy stands a chance?
Considering that his demolition fist was previously capable of fracturing this over 2-kilometer tall demon giant, a feat to be worth 17 megatons of TNT.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, when they're ignoring any form of scaling, they're gonna try and say what? Ikusa Tsunagi, whose mass literally, like, he could literally produce more energy by falling over. We see two things. One, we see him produce more energy by swinging his sword. He cleaves multiple mountains, gashes the ground, and cleaves to the horizon. Also, Natsu's feet. Let me say this. They brought up that, like, 2 Yonko clashing splits the clouds. Go to this chapter. If you go to chapter 434, see Natsu's attack. And you look at this one. The first panel is from chapter 433. The next chapter is from 434. The cloud layer, the full cloud layer, is gone. The force of Natsu's attack clears out the entire sky of storm clouds from horizon to horizon. How? Luffy wins. Tell me what Luffy's... Like, what does Luffy do against fire that burns the concept of time? Tell me what it does, Master Plan.
Accounting for how much Alderaan was weakened, he's about 2/5 his full power. And we find that Natsu must have struck with exactly 681
What is this? What is this? They ignored feats. Their claim was Natsu at, like, what Cap set Ikusa Tsunagi, and at base, at the beginning of Alvarez, who he one-shot, no problem, who was fodder to a Spriggan. If you want to use this logic, where's the Therion? Where's the Aetherion scaling? Where's literally any Alvarez feat? Why are they using Ikusa Tsunagi, who Natsu one-shot? What about Nineheart, who Brandish couldn't do anything about it? Brandish, the Nation Destroyer, who wasn't strong enough to mess with Nineheart after he was buffed by Irene, who base Natsu one-shot? Stop! Like, this is horrible.
million megatons of TNT.
This is horrendous downplay. This is the worst downplay I've seen in, like, a video with this much effort.
These dragon gods by himself. It was only because he had his friends that he was able to ignite the flames of his emotions and take those victories.
That's not what happened with Merciphobia at all. They, for some reason, also are mentioning the feats, but they don't bring up anything with Suzaku and Ignia. I'm just saying.
In the end, what good is a victory if you're not fighting for something that is worth it? And for Natsu,
I'll give a quick rundown before we get to the actual, like, little match.
in the Fairy Tail Guild.
Okay, they're about to go into it. I'm gonna just give a quick overview. Okay, let me just say this. The bias is absurd. he goes over Luffy feats. He literally looks for anything that he can use to boost up Luffy, despite consistency saying otherwise, like trying to use Enel stuff to claim that base Luffy was country level and multiple times faster than light. Doesn't align anything with consistency. But then, well, every single Natsu feat, he's using people that are way weaker than Natsu. He doesn't bring anything up, like, with actual multipliers. He doesn't bring up any of, like, Alvarez feats, any of Natsu's big feats. He uses weaker character feats and then tries to compare them to Natsu. If you wanted to try and talk about base Natsu and then apply that multiple times million multiplier, you wouldn't use Ikusa Tsunagi, who also they downplayed his feat. You would use Etherion, because Natsu in base has one-shot a Spriggan who was more powerful than the baseline Spriggan like Brandish. He beat somebody that was continental to multi-continental from feats. So you would use that as your multiplier. Like, the downplay on this is actually really weird. Like, it's bad. Like I said, this is one of the worst videos I've seen. I've seen versus people make horrendous claims, but usually it's in a way that they take a feat and wank it. They did that for Luffy, but they also ignored feats for Natsu and then downplayed all of his feats. What is this? Let me just give a quick example as like a super easy feat that shows a direct power gap. Nobody in One Piece can do really anything to Diamond or Sea Stone, as hard as Diamond, without some form of specific thing like Aokiji freezing Jozu, or using Rio to smash it by how Rio works, and Haki. I don't think the Haki aspect does anything to the Sea Stone stuff. It's just because like how the energy goes into it and does internal and then outward damage. Natsu in base without using fire shattered Stellanium with no effort, a material harder than Diamond. The like physical strength feats, the heat feats. Notice also they mentioned 0 heat feats for Natsu. You have a fire character, but you don't mention heat feats. But they're gonna mention. I bet you they're gonna mention that Haki already has feats of blocking heat, and that was gonna be a deciding factor for that. But they don't mention anything for Natsu's actual heat feats.
This is the city of Magnolia.
What?
Calm, serene city on the
Didn't I already
east
listen to
day.
this? Oh, they're doing like a little plot thing for the match. I'm gonna skip that. I already know they're going to say Luffy wins. Like, the downplay was horrible. The downplay on this was really bad. Like, they don't even mention the fact Natsu's beaten gods. Natsu crushed a god of time and then beat a guy who transcended beyond the concept of time. And then the fact that he said Haki was anti-magic is goofy. Like, that to me is like the goofiest thing for the Luffy side. But for the Natsu side, like, he ignored so many feats and downplayed so many feats. Like, Natsu literally could just take Luffy's attacks and not even move. The fact he could stalemate punches with Alderaan was just beyond anything Luffy could do. Like, notice when they bring up also Alderaan, they don't mention how big he is or any of his feats whatsoever. They mention nothing about how powerful the Dragon Gods are, the fact that they're all supposed to be planetary threats, and they have feats for it. Ugh. I already know this video is just it's so far it's been really cringy. I really wanted to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, but like this is worse than I thought. This is legitimately worse than I thought. Like, the fact that he's trying to claim Haki is anti-magic is one of the goofiest ones. My blood pressure rising. It's more like my disappointment. I'm actually a little agitated because I gave the guy the benefit of the doubt of, like, the idea of, like, maybe he'll be a little bit more fair. But, like, he was really bad on this. And here's something I'll say really quick. Future Sight is good. Natsu can just nuke the area. Like I said, like his Fire Dragon King Demolition Fist evaporated a 50-mile wide lake without even making direct contact. Future Sight is good. Prediction abilities are good, but they can literally just be countered by AoE. Not every character has massive AoE, but Natsu does have massive AoE. And they also ignore the fact that, like, fighting Natsu, you would have to deal with his passive heat, which is, again, another thing that I knew this was going to be a bad video, the fact you don't bring up heat feats against a fire character. That doesn't make sense. Like, that's one of the things you obviously have to bring up for a character who's literally using fire. Why he doesn't need to go into fire dragon or into lightning flame dragon mode after eating. Like, he can do that normally. It's fodder to him now. Like, it's not even that much of a power up compared to what he normally does. What? Hang on, I gotta pause it. I gotta pause real quick. What? If the claim is that, real quick, if the claim that they just put on there is that Lightning Flame Dragon mode is enough to kill Luffy, but Luffy Future Sight saw it and then is going to avoid that, why would you think that Luffy in any state would be able to fight Natsu beyond Lightning Flame Dragon? If his first out of 3 available power-ups is already potentially enough to kill Bound Man, even in this video, it makes no sense then to have, like, not him tank any attacks following. That doesn't make sense. Like, even by their own video logic, that's bad. It's so weird that he used a render image in the middle of a sprite transformation. I'm not against that, I just think it's a little strange. Why would Luffy immediately power down? I don't know why Luffy would power out a Snake Man after 2 seconds. That'd be a little weird. His melee attacks now. This wouldn't do any damage. What? What kind? Shut the fuck up. Luffy can't do that. Luffy's not punching people around the planet. This was a terrible matchup. Holy fuck. This was bad. What the fuck? There are so many direct problems with this. And they actually used one of the things I brought up that I think Death Battle's stupid for. Why would they bring up things like Fire Dragon King Mode and Dragon Force, but ignore it? That doesn't make sense. Luffy has actually exited gears after single strikes. But I mean, if Luffy was fighting a guy that he just saw could kill him in one hit, why would he leave his gears? But I mean, why would you bring up Fire Dragon King Mode and Dragon Force and not use it? That's what I said. God, Death Battle people, man. Death Battle people are terrible. Also, I just want to say, like, again, notice there's no mention of heat feats at all. No mention of heat feats. They mentioned heat stuff for Luffy, didn't they? But they didn't mention anything for Natsu's heat feats. Like, they mentioned Luffy, like, catching stuff on fire. Lord.
Like a good matchup on paper. In practice, this was far from close.
No, Natsu's absurdly stronger.
Luffy easily swept the field in terms of physical stat advantages.
That's not true. Do you really want to compare Kaido? Let's just say this. Luffy right now is matching blows with Kaido. Do you really want to compare Kaido feats to Alderaan feats? To Alderaan, who is shattering like thousands of miles by walking? The volume of Alderaan's voice cleared the sky from like thousands of miles and was splitting mountains from the volume, not by hitting them, from the sheer volume of his voice. Natsu was clashing blows with this guy, taking hits from this guy. Like, holy shit.
Because current base Luffy is considerably stronger than Boundman was back in Dressrosa,
That doesn't matter.
base Luffy should be able to casually strike with 1,251.9.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Like, they're gonna completely wank all of Luffy's feats, but Natsu's will get tremendously downplayed because they ignored almost all of Natsu's feats.
1 paratons of TNT, and can still stack his gears on top of it. Second gear second, and Boundman on top of
Why?
it.
But Natsu apparently doesn't have
No
them.
less than 18,788 teratons of TNT.
Let me say this right now. People have looked into the numbers for Ethereum by itself, and it's like, I think it's like 2.7 petatons. This right here is 1.8 petatons. That means Ethereum baseline is stronger than this guy's absurd wanked version of Luffy. See, look at this. Hang on. He's using stuff from last week's One Piece episode. So it's not like he made it like months ago. So stuff like Natsu taking Suzaku's attack, that feat had happened months ago, and he ignored it. Jesus Christ.
7.5 times more powerful than Natsu's greatest feat.
That's a lie. That's an absurd lie. Again, are we going to look at Alderaan feats? Can we look at the fact Natsu killed Alderaan, the guy who was a threat to the planet? Really? Who's the same tier as Selene, who casually messed with 2 different planetary bodies in a fodder state to her actual power? What?
It's also important to remember that
Jesus.
Natsu can't throw attacks this powerful more than once, while Luffy
That doesn't
can
matter.
throw them as many times as
They didn't even show Dragon Force in the video their death battle. The Natsu used Lightning Flame Dragon mode and didn't use anything higher than that, so I don't know why they're bringing it up. Again, this is death battle levels of logic. This is horrendous.
he needs. Even ignoring the power gap, Luffy is still much faster than Natsu.
He's not.
Luffy has shown
Again, like I said, if we want to downplay, Luffy got outrun by 200-kilometer-an-hour fodder horse. So if you want to go by that logic, I can do that too.
a vast capacity.
Yeah, Natsu did destroy a pocket dimension, but they're going to ignore that.
He created his gears. Applying the method we used for his
But, like, notice how they ignore something like Natsu dodging Stink's Roar baseline in the Grand Magic games.
no slower than 220
This is slow.
times the speed of
Even if you went by, let me say this actually. Even if you went by the the Wendy and Haku feat and said base Natsu was only light speed, why are they not bringing the fact that the version that they tried to bring up, 1, Dragon Force is multiple 100 times multiplier. 2, if you brought up the multiple million multiplier form, why would you not apply that to his stats? Again, this is by their own setup. Doesn't make sense. There's so many holes in this.
light, but even this is a
Can you show me that? Yeah, there's his name is like Gazelle Man or whatever. Ugh.
speed feats. But even stacking Dragon Force and
Dragon
Fire
Force is-
Dragon King mode on
Let me say, Fire Dragon King mode doesn't have any known multiplier. The most you can really say, I've had a vague understanding, vague guess, is that like base Natsu was able to melt like a little bit of a kilometer wide area when he came back from his time skip into part 3 right before Alvarez. So like him vaping like a 50 kilometer so lake is like, you could make an argument for times 50, but Dragon Force is not times 2 or 3. That's the shittier, way weaker Flame of Rebuke version from way earlier in the series, not what we have way later on, and not the literal multi-million times multiplier one that they even brought up themselves and used themselves.
top of that would make him about 9 times the speed.
This is
Meaning that
that's not a good claim.
Luffy's armor body greater than
Time flag on the play. Hang on.
speed of light. Meaning that nothing
They used Dragon Cry. Animus absorbed a. So that was this for the people who aren't here. If you do not know anything about Fairy Tail, this guy right here, this dragon, absorbed a item made of completely condensed magic, dragon magic, that was dozens of times Ethereon. If you don't know what Ethereon is a cross-dimensional time-space energy nuke cannon that can erase things from existing. that just the baseline size of the explosion, the radius, is enough to envelop an entire country. This guy had absorbed dozens of that, and Natsu, in a weaker state than where he's at now, crushed him. This is, oh my god. The one-sided bias is bad. I agreed, like electricity, but Luffy is not fully immune. He's immune to plain blunt force, but he's not immune to blunt force with abilities clad onto it. He's been hurt by people's fists before. I mean, in a fight with Katakuri. Like, come on.
However, Luffy has dealt with powerful fire before on numerous occasions.
I fucking called it. Oh my god. Give me a single heat feat in One Piece, and we'll compare, like the best heat feat, and we'll compare it to Natsu having hotter fire than Wall's magic. Oh, I'm messing up the words. His magic confinement fusion oven, which is a nuclear reactor of 200 million degrees. A nuclear reactor is colder than Natsu's fire. Pff, this guy is goofy. Show me a feat. Show me a heat feat. That's, oh my fucking god. That hasn't have anything to do with the power levels. That's specifically the difference of Luffy, who's achieving heat by friction and speed, and Natsu, whose hands were completely wet, so he wasn't able to ignite a flame. Not the same thing. Neither of those also have anything to do with a heat feat, and notice again how they are ignoring mentioning amounts of heat. I didn't break the glass, I'm just laughing. Like, holy shit, I've called so much of this.
Martial artists on the planet. Through his battles against Rob Lucci, the former Admiral Z, Zoro,
Film Z is not even canon. Film Z is not even canon! I'm not even a One Piece fan and I know that. Come on. Luffy was gonna get trashed by. Hey, Luffy was gonna get trashed by. Let me say this. I'm not a One Piece expert. I'm not even really a One Piece fan. I read One Piece casually. You can't use Marineford, really Luffy against Marineford, Mihawk, because Mihawk, like Luffy knew if he got close to Mihawk, he was done. Like he had a whole part where he saw slightly that he was gonna get his hands cut off if he even went close to Mihawk. Mihawk in Marineford would one-tap Luffy. That's a bad comparison. That's like me trying to compare, like, Sirius Island, Natsu, and Acton Logia. Yeah, and they're using filler. Oh my god.
was made by a dragon to kill other dragons. Not exactly the best fighting style when combating a human.
Holy shit, that's not how dragon slaying magic works. That is not how dragon slaying magic works. Dragon slaying magic does not do less damage against non-dragon combatants. That's not how it works. The reason dragon slaying magic exists is because humans, who their powers are generally through magic, aren't able to affect dragons because their dragon scales nullify magic. That's why they needed dragon slaying magic, because dragon slaying magic gives you the dragon attribute, because like I said, dragons have their own innate power source, and then they have magic. When you use dragon slaying magic, you're using magic essentially to also access a second type of power, and that's why dragon slaying magic can affect things that aren't generally affected by magic. Something like the Dorna Anim, which was covered in a material called Wizard Canceller that nullifies magic, including its own attacks. So even its own level of power of magic was not able to do anything about it. Dragon slaying magic was, because it's not entirely magic. It is also a second power source. It does not do less damage against humans. That's not how that works. It doesn't work that way. If you said devil slaying does more damage against demons and devils. So if you were going to use a feat, like say you took two characters that were at the same level, but one of the characters' feats at that level is only against devils and demons, you would make that argument. Because against a human, you're not going to have that same buff of damage. That's not how Dragon Slayers work. That's not how they work. That's never been how they work. How many humans has Natsu fought and been fine? Jesus Christ.
Natsu has also been shown to severely struggle with, if not outright lose, two abilities similar to what Luffy has.
What? No, he hasn't. This is also a bad example. Let me play this real quick.
Your third is similar to what Maka's
Okay, I'll just.
giant magic, armor.
Two things. The first part, Natsu beat Aragorn. He beat him. Like, his heat got to the point where wind was leaving the area. It was traveling up because of the huge amount of heat he was putting in the area. Natsu also one-shot Makarov in Drasil. In base, he one-shot... Not only that, he one-shot Wraith, who took over Makarov's body, who through the combination of how Wraith's abilities work and Makarov's power, was multiple fold stronger than Makarov by himself. This is, again, like, people who do not touch the series making claims like this are terrible. Why is he using Madmol? Madmol is more comparable to Kaido than Luffy.
He's stronger than Armor Dragon Slayer magic.
What? Hang on.
Your third is similar to a Makarov's giant magic. Haki is stronger than Armor Dragon.
From what? Where are you getting that Armor Dragon Slaying magic is weaker than Armament Haki? There was never a comparison to any of those. There's not one thing that he even went to try and compare those. He didn't even mention the guy's name or the feats around Mad Bull.
Haki is far more powerful than Cobra's hearing, just to name a few.
See, this is what I'm talking about, though. Like, I would agree that that Luffy has ways, obviously stuff like Future Sight, but it doesn't matter if he just AoEs the area. Even if you're able to foresee an attack, if you're not fast enough to escape the damage, it doesn't matter.
And even though the flames of his emotions can increase Natsu's firepower, it would be difficult for him to access them. As
Why?
Natsu has no emotional connection with Luffy.
That's not how it works. Like, Natsu had no real emotional connection to Aragorn. He was just getting pissed off. Like, that's in the first 20 chapters of the series. Like, what the fuck? Like, he had no backing with Aragorn. The only thing that he really knew was Aragorn was a bad guy trying to go to Clover. He doesn't need some backstory. That's not how that works. Natsu would just get frustrated fighting him if even if you made the claim that, like, somehow Luffy and Natsu were around level, Natsu would get pissed off just from the fact, like, if the claims they had on Luffy, like, being stronger, Natsu wouldn't be like, well, I don't have a past with you, so I'm not going to get mad. He would get frustrated just from attempts that aren't hitting. Like, Natsu would get mad if Luffy was dodging his attacks and he couldn't hit. That would piss him off.
By far his best trump card, but it would be incredibly limited as he can't eat his own fire, and Observation Haki would be more than capable of warning Luffy not to use.
But they put it in an area where it was, like, literally around volcanoes. Natsu would have literally almost infinite area to regenerate magic and stamina. So even by their own scenario, that was a terrible claim.
Uses fire-based attacks. Natsu's best chance would be to come across a massive source of fire.
He doesn't need a massive source.
Amp his fire with the magic burning flames of emotion, and then hit Luffy with everything he has.
No, he doesn't. Like, he can literally beat him in base. Flight in base? Natsu doesn't have flight. Natsu doesn't have flight. That's a lie. Strikes with fire, okay. Better fire options, but you didn't mention anything about what he can do with fire. You didn't mention a single heat feat. Change qualities of fire, okay. Better flames and Dragon Force. Notice how many abilities and things he mentions. More creative, more powerful, resistant to fire, but doesn't mention any heat feats, more experience. Natsu's been fighting longer and has more fights. Natsu has more fights. He's been fighting longer. He's fought more bigger character. He is not more experienced. Luffy went out on his journey, what, like 2 or 3 years ago? Natsu's been doing this for what, like 10 plus years? Like, that's ridiculous. Stronger flames in base? Bullshit. If somebody wants to at this guy, I will debate on. That is ridiculous. What's up, Sabo? Hey, let me see Sabo. I told Sabo I'd give him a mod. Oh, I have to do it from YouTube. One sec, Sabo. Let me pull up a thing. Luffy does not have. Let me say this, Sabo. To tell you the claims on this guy, he said Haki was anti-magic. He said that Haki was a form of anti-magic. Not even going into any other feats or claims. How do you even come to that conclusion? But saying that stronger flames in base, but never even comparing any heat feats is ridiculous. That's disgusting. Let me say that around as well. In the newest One Piece chapter, Kaido's best heat feat is base Natsu right after he got into Alvarez. That's disgusting.
Luffy's rubber body, combat skill, endurance, and incredible Haki would be more than capable of leading him to a decisive victory. For Natsu, any chance at victory was nothing but a fairy tale.
That's a lie, but we can look at feats.
Smooth sailing.
Holy shit.
Monkey D. Luffy.
This is one of the worst videos I've ever seen. This is one of the worst videos I've ever seen. Like, yeah, Natsu in, like, even in that point, somebody says, somebody compared the real world, like, way that they've done the whole thing where he fought when he fought Aragorn, and it's like his heat, like his fire would have had to been at like 10,000 degrees to do that, which makes sense because him even just melting iron and steel would at least be, what is the melting point? I think it's like 2,700 degrees. When did Kaido burn it? No. Base Grand Magic Games Natsu, just in general. Now I'm not talking about the feats with Wall. I'm talking about just like Natsu melting stone and rock and metal just from being near it. Something like that. He's been able to do that. The death battle was completely stupid. It was bad. Sabo, I know you're a One Piece stan, but like this guy was comparing no feats for Natsu. How do you do a death battle thing for a fire character and then not even mention any heat feats? Not mention how hot his fire is. Like, not even mention anything about how powerful like his abilities are, like feats where he's actually like Natsu's skin is so hot it will melt steel on contact. You getting me that? I'd have to look for it because it wasn't like a Kaut thing. It was like people took like the real world scenario where they did whatever that I can't remember. I had to look exactly how it's described in the chapter, whatever the fuck that's called, superconductive heat or other shit. It's like how they did that. It's like it would have to be like 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Granted, again, I can't say it off what it is off the top of my head. I would have to look back into it. I haven't looked into that one in years. But I mean, even if you looked at like his base heat, like just looking at like Grand Magic Games, or not, sorry, Grand Magic Games, Alvarez, he was melting a mile-wide stadium by standing there. Yeah, I know Sabo. Well, the thing, Sabo, is like the fight was dumb, but this guy made so many terrible claims. He was saying that Luffy in Skypiea was country level. Invul confirms he has the hottest flames. Yes, other than probably Ignia. Holy shit! Like this, I'm a little bummed out just from the fact that I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt, hoping that he would give Natsu a more fair claim and fair trial. But holy shit, like this was not good. This was worse than I thought. Like this was actually worse than I thought. This was a far more disservice. And on top of that, it's like they just ripped off Death Battle. It's literally just Death Battle. Like they had the same whole opening thing. Like the same little bit, the same kind of style. I thought that was kind of funny. Luffy has Toon Force? No, he doesn't. Luffy doesn't actually have Toon Force. And the reason that is, if Luffy had Toon Force, he would literally be able to reach into his hat and pull out the One Piece. When you get to the point of Toon Force, you don't need logic. You can't beat a Toon character, like a Toon Force character, without like meta level shit. If Luffy had Toon Force, One Piece would be over. Nobody would be able to defeat him. You can't beat a Toon Force character with like serious writing. You could take Kaido, Big Mom, Shanks, a zombie Whitebeard, fuse them together, give them all their powers, and put them up against Luffy, have him go to sleep, and let him take all their attacks, and he could literally do the whole like "What's up, Doc?" Bugs Bunny thing, because you can't kill a Toon Force character. Luffy doesn't actually have Toon Force. He's just goofy. He's shown that he actually, like, even though he's goofier with this form, he's not at a point where logic is out the window. He's not at a point where, like, you don't put logic into the fight. Because there'd be no point in the fight continuing because Kaido would have no chance if Luffy could literally... Like, Luffy would be able to reach up, grab the moon, and slam it into him like a basketball if he had Toon Force. Was it confirmed that Natsu's fire was hotter than Wall Sinks? Yeah, Invil said that only Natsu's fire could do that. The only person with heat that capable was Natsu. And Wall is a character directly adjacent to him. Superconductive, yeah. I don't remember exactly what it's called. It's during the Aragorn fight. It's like how heat would like how hot something would have to be to cause air to do that rapidly and that aggressively. Toon Force as gag character stuff. Yeah, like Luffy's goofy, but like he's not actually like a Toon Force character. He's not actually Toon Force because like there's still logic behind the fight. Like even though he got the form, he's not just like he didn't one shot Kaido. He's not like he's still taking damage. The fight is still in a spot where it's clear. Even if it's goofier, it's not done in a way that like Luffy still isn't. Like, Luffy's still bound by a certain, like, rules and constraints of the verse. Like, Luffy still has rules that he has to abide to, whereas, like, a Toon Force character has no rules. That's why they're Toon Force. They can do anything they want to. He disintegrated a rock, which is completely impossible. Burnt concepts like time. I know, it's, like, ridiculous. Kizaru is considered god tier. I mean, that's one of the things, too. You can't take things like the Haku thing, ignore context, and then, like, use Kizaru, who Kizaru was baseline light speed, but then say that, like, Skypiea, Luffy, pre-gears, and characters are, like, multiple-fold light speed. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, yeah, this was worse than I thought. This was a worse video than I thought it was going to be, and I don't know. I'm a little bit disappointed that I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt. This was horrible. This was, like, legitimately one of the worst videos I've seen in a long time. It's at a point where I question if either of them have seen Fairy Tail. Can Natsu die to poisons? Depends on the poison. Natsu's been poisoned and he's made it out alive. But I think that's just one of those things where it would depend on the character. But, I mean, like, you can make that same claim to a lot of characters, like, in how poison works. Like, Natsu's survived dragon poison. But, I mean, he hasn't come into a ton of scenarios where he's been around poison. But, I mean, like, neither of them are poison users, so I don't really know if that would be relevant. What does that mean? Light from every constellation is summoned. It doesn't mean Lucy's Aranometria. No, Aranometria and Galaxia Blade are two different things. Because Aranometria is like you're using the you're directly just producing the light from yourself. Whereas Galaxia Blade is legitimately pulling the starlight down. Galaxia Blade is literally pulling the light from the constellations. They're both drawing power from the 88 constellations, but you you visually and directly see Galaxia Blade pulling light down from the heavens, from, like, the stars themselves. Doesn't Natsu burn magic that controls time? He's burnt the concept of time and magic. So the thing is, like, Kalis, I don't know how it's pronounced, he has burnt both. The guy that he fought had both. He had time magic beforehand. He had to get control of the concept of time to do what he was doing, and Natsu burnt and destroyed that. Is Rex doing a verse stream since he finished the video? Yeah, if you want to rewatch this, Kinmano, this is a bad video. This guy did a Luffy versus Natsu. Right now, Kinmano, look what this guy says that Luffy in base has hotter fire than Natsu. But he never compared any heat feats whatsoever. There's no comparison of, like, well, if you look at these things, Natsu's fire isn't as hot as Luffy's fire based off this thing. But Natsu has better heat feats. Like, even if you wanted to compare, like, basic ones, Natsu's melted steel just from touching his body. Not fire, just from his body heat. Galaxia Blade is far more powerful. Yeah, it's way faster. Has it been stated it's a concept, not magic? It's both. It's been said multiple times. It is both. Zeref went into it already having time magic. He needed infinite magic to manipulate the space between time, which is a concept of time, and gain the power over time itself. He says multiple times it's time itself. We get confirmation from Anna that it has to do with time itself. You think it's a draw? It's not a draw. It's not even close. Like, you can look at the feats. You can look at the feat that stone Natsu. If Natsu's asleep and not fighting, there's no proof light from every constellation is used from the spell. You directly see the lights come down from the heavens. Where are they from? They're from the 88 constellations. You know how many constellations are out in space? 88. We have knowledge of these stars in space. Cygnus is a canon, or not Cygnus. It's what is the one? It starts with a D. I'm trying to remember. Let me see real quick. I forgot his name. It starts with a D. Deneb. Deneb is a canon fairy tale character from the Cygnus constellation. They even show his star and what he's related to in the series. And this is an anime arc that is confirmed canon, not using uncanon things like movie stuff. Natsu stomps Luffy. He's at planet level at this point. I know, like, the things, like, there's so much disingenuous takes, Like, they're using, like, current stuff for Luffy, but they ignore stuff for Natsu, and then they ignore, like, feats, and they completely, like, they act like Natsu's best base feat is his fight with Ikusa Tsunagi, when Natsu one-shot Nineheart, who scales above Brandish. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, this was an ordeal. This was an ordeal. I legitimately did not figure it was going to go this poorly. The thing is, when they said Natsu can't generate heat underwater, what Luffy can, if you watch some episodes before Grand Magic Games, literally. Well, that was that's in the anime. That's a non-canon anime scene. But I don't really see how that is even a feat, or like an arguable feat, because that's purely because like how the difference between how they generate it. Natsu can't light, like Natsu's having trouble lighting his fire because his hand was completely encased in water. Luffy's doing it not from just like, he's not directly manipulating fire. He's using the heat and the friction from the speed of his attack. Natsu versus Luffy is in close draw. Natsu vaporized him by emitting fire. Yeah, Natsu has absurdly higher feats. Like, they ignored so many of Natsu's feats. They showed that his fight with Animus, but they ignored the fact that Animus had absorbed a power dozens of times Ethereon. Something beyond anything that they mentioned with Luffy. I think Luffy win because Fairy Tail make no sense. Acting Logia against solo Natsu. Okay, well, Luffy lost to Kaido, and then he got multiple power-ups, and then was able to beat Kaido. Are we gonna take Luffy's accounts into this? How many times has Luffy got trashed by characters and then later beaten them within the same arc? That's not how that works. And on top of that, do you want to compare Logia to Kaido? Do you want to compare Logia to Kaido? Be glad I didn't listen to Rant Cafe last Thursday on Nux. I don't know who that is. Didn't listen to Rant Cafe last Thursday on Nux's video on main characters. I don't really care about Nux Taku. When you say something negative about Natsu or something, I don't really care. I've never watched a Nux Taku video. Wait, no. I watched one Nux Taku video, didn't I? I think I watched one. I reacted to one, didn't I? Pretty sure. Either way, I was going to say, like, actually, I have watched one. I think I watched his one on, like, Fairy Tail, and he talked about, like, Laxus or something. I'm not a fan of Nux Taku. I don't watch a lot of those, like, big guys. A lot of them I feel like are weird. But anyway, yeah, like, this... Yeah, it was worse than I thought. It was actually worse than I thought. I don't really understand how someone can get that far and make claims but ignore feats, but downplay the other character. If you watch Acnologia versus Kaido talk, Acnologia would walk past Kaido. Kaido would do the same thing God Serena did, where he would try and hype himself up, and then he would blink and he'd be dead. I thought Nux liked Fairy Tail. I don't know. I don't watch Nux Taku's videos. I've as far as I've seen, I don't really care about his takes. Since Natsu did not burn himself against Alderaan, but it doesn't mean. But it doesn't mean that the feat against Seraph and Mark is superior. Yeah, I know, because they ignore logic. But here's the thing: the two fires that Natsu has used in those scenarios have burnt concepts and literally burnt powers out of people. Characters have lost the ability to use powers for coming into contact with that fire. It's literally burnt abilities out of their body. I mean, as far as Luffy might not be using friction. I mean, as far as we know, though, that's like the most logical explanation. But still, Natsu's hotter. Natsu's fire is immensely hotter. Sabo, like Natsu's had blades melt on contact with his skin. Not even him using fire, just like his base body heat. Sorry to put yourself through this. I wanted to give this guy more of a benefit of the doubt. I wanted to give the I just noticed in his video, if you look in the recommendations, at least for mine, it shows my stream. Is that everybody's? Maybe that's just mine. Let me go to it real quick. Let me open an incognito. Let me go incognito and see if my video that's my voice. I don't need that. I don't need my own voice in this. Hold on. I don't want to hear my own voice in my videos. I don't like that. I'm not an actor, but I understand why they don't want to watch their own stuff. I never understood that until I listened to my own voice in a video. It's weird. Oh, I don't see it in his. I thought that was funny. Maybe that's just because it's mine and I'm on my own channel. Luffy could be a god with fire. I don't think so, but he would still put Natsu over him until Natsu's beaten gods. Like Natsu's beaten gods canonically. said Natsu had no personality. Ugh. How do you say that? Natsu is dumber than Luffy? That's not true. Natsu can read. Like, even baseline, Natsu can read. Natsu's not that dumb. I would put Natsu at, like, the same level of intelligence as, like, Naruto. He's below the intelligence of, like, the average person, but he's not like Goku and Luffy, who are just, like, very dumb. And I feel like anybody who's touched the series, that's not even a character opinion thing. Like, Natsu is canonically stronger. Or not stronger, sorry. He is, but Natsu's also smarter. But, like, Luffy is, like, not smart. Like, no, not smart. Natsu's had some parts where he's been intelligent. He's just not the smartest guy. They animated that all through, yeah, this makes sense. I know, like, I was like, maybe he'll just do a sprite battle. Maybe he'll just do a fun sprite battle. But no, they decided to go into feats. And the feats, they, like, completely ignored a lot of Natsu's feats. I think Natsu not burning himself shows... Oh, yeah, he's talked about this one. I mean, he said that sanding with Sanji... I mean, yeah, but Sanji, isn't that the whole thing? Like, Sanji's just through friction, right? He's not a Lunarian or whatever it is. It's through the friction. Literally claimed OP verse got greater heat feat than Natsu had. I know, but they didn't talk about one heat feat for Natsu. They didn't talk about any of his feats of heat. They really claimed... Oh, there's one. Yeah, just quickly reread the Galaxy Blade chapter. You'd have to reach absurdly far to conclude it's summoning light from every constellation. The literal whole thing is he's summoning light from the constellations. He turns his blade to the sky, and you see light coming down from the stars. Like, where do you think that it's coming from? Nowhere? Is it coming from the ground? He's literally the Celestial Spirit King. He's, like, literally in charge of the constellations. It's not even a power thing. It's a speed thing. And, like, Margear in base, already in that same... Well, not already, because it's, like, right afterwards. Already in that same arc, no light speed from point-blank range. Like, sideswiped it like it was nothing. Luffy is dumb. He just impulses their instinct. Yeah, that's true. Luffy... I would say Luffy's smarter than Goku, though, Sabo. I do agree with that. Jalal can beat Natsu if he doesn't eat the Lacrima, so Luffy wins this. No, he doesn't. That's part 1 Natsu. Do you understand the gap between that Natsu and current Natsu master plan? Like, that's like comparing, like, well, Luffy wouldn't have beaten... I'm trying to think of a character, like, really low... Who's, like, a really low-level One Piece character? I guess, like, Enel. Like, he wouldn't have beaten Enel with his... without the gold ball, so Natsu wins. Natsu beat another lightning characters, okay? Jalal uses Senma and boom. Yes, Jalal can kill a lot of people in One Piece. I mean, like... You look at, like, the whole thing of splitting the sky, but Jalal can do more than that by himself, just getting pissed off. The part where Natsu used Zeref's ability against Alderaan was some of the smartest shit I've seen in the verse. Natsu does some big brain plays. Like, Natsu legitimately does some big brain plays. Like, he's not a genius, but he's not smart. Like I said, you look... Like I said, if you can put him in... Like, if you took him to Shonen main character school, I can guarantee you look at him and Naruto's test scores, they're going to be about the same. Sanji powers are from his father. That's clear now. I mean, the exoskeleton, the heat thing, though, was it confirmed the heat thing is from him? But, I mean, Luffy doesn't really use fire powers. He's got, like, the whole thing is from Nika, and, like, the whole Nika thing. I don't think it's his fire abilities. I mean, I don't think that's really that relevant. But at the same time, I don't... Not at least from what I can tell. Because, like, he's not using it regularly. It's always from, specifically, like, the style of technique. Luffy beat Natsu, that means Prime Roger would smack Luffy till, like... Luffy... If you put Luffy now in there... I can see Luffy beating, like, Elfman and some of the... Maybe some of the... I was going to say some of the lower Spriggan, but I don't know. Maybe Jacob, but I mean, like, how would you know Jacob is there? He's not beating Brandish. He's not beating Demaria. He's not beating God Serena. He's not beating Invul. He's not beating Wall. He's not beating Bloodman. Next big question, does he know the Segs, though? Natsu? I've actually been... I've always been very curious to know if, like, Natsu and Lizana ever hooked up. Because I've always thought they did, but, like, we don't have anything to go off of. And, like, Mishima didn't give us the part during Lord Cade's whole pleasure magic thing that, like, pretty much showed us who's a virgin and who's not. Wendy beats Luffy? I mean, yeah. I mean, and people want to get mad about Luffy's... Wendy's got better feats. Luffy's... Or, I keep saying Luffy. I wonder if, like... I wonder if Wendy would be able to separate the... I guess it's the Nika fruit now. With the separation enchantment. I think she could. Because there are ways of... Yeah, there are ways of not abstract. I'm fucking up this word. There are ways of removing a devil fruit and putting it in somebody else. So I think Wendy with the separation enchantment logically could. I think all this Spriggan smack Luffy. I'm trying to think about it, but it's like I don't really know which one he could beat. Like I don't really know what Spriggan member he could. Luffy beats Elfman, high diff, better hacks. Well, Luffy's faster. Luffy's much faster. Elfman has the strength and durability to fight Luffy, but he does not have the speed at all. Elfman's in Spriggan tier, but not in speed. He is super canonically slow. Whereas, like, Lizana's fast, and she has the speed, but she does not have any of the other stats. So, like, them together makes up one Spriggan. Okay, like, doesn't like power friendship stuff. I mean, didn't Luffy get back up to fight Rob Lucci with power friendship after Usopp gave him a whole speech? He literally did a friendship speech, and he got back to his feet. Wendy can beat every fairy tale member. Not everybody, but Wendy can actually get really far. We've known Wendy has a lot of untapped potential since Alvarez. Like, we've always known that Wendy was a prodigy and really strong, but there was never a point where we really kind of dove into the fact Wendy was a prodigy with untapped potential until the Haku fight, where it's like straight up like, yeah, you have a lot of actual power that you haven't used. Sorry. For Wendy, whereas like with Irene just pretty much like showed what Wendy was capable of even at that level. She just wasn't using it or hasn't really achieved a grasp on it. Fyodor versus Shigaraki. Dazai versus... Who's Fyodor? I don't know who that character is. And Dazai? I don't know who Dazai is. Thing with verse equalization, Natsu can burn Haki just like Natsu's burning magic. Yeah, I would agree to that if you did... Oh... Yeah, if you equalize the energies, I would definitely agree to that. I was gonna say something, but it's like, yeah, if you're gonna try and claim Haki, but it's like Haki doesn't cancel devil fruits the same way like anti-magic does. It like lets you do damage to them, and it has like a degree of usage against devil fruits, but it's not like Blackbeard, where Blackbeard can touch you and turn off your devil fruit. He's a pervert, so definitely has sexual... What? I don't know what that's about. What do you think the water dragon slang magic version of Natsu burning time feat? What I mean? A water version? I don't know. I don't know what the time... Zoro beats Ursa? No, he doesn't. Are you kidding? I mean, it says, Master Plan, are you caught up with Fairy Tail? Like, you know, Ursa's last fight, she was putting out so much power that she was overriding an entire dimension, like somebody's pocket dimension. Lucy versus Nami. Lucy claps. One Oranometria, one Taurus Stardress Punch. Like, these aren't even close. Irene can easily extract the Dragon Slayer ability, so she can probably do the same with Devil Fruits. I think she can, because she has stuff like conceptual enchants, and she can separate things from other things. So I don't think it doesn't have entirely to do with abilities, like power systems. It has more to do with, like, obviously, like, how broken she is at that point. Or is the Souls of Strats? Yeah, I would agree to that. Especially now. Like, I don't see any of them surviving her Fairy Meteor Sword. I don't think a single one of them would survive it. I mean, I don't really care what your opinion is of Urza. If you want, we can compare Urza to Zoro. Like, you have a character who was a slave that started a rebellion to free captors from religious cultists that were putting them into slave labor until they died, versus a guy who was butthurt because he couldn't beat a girl who fell down some stairs. Haki just makes Logia saw, there's no negation. Yeah, because that's like the whole thing about Blackbeard's Devil Fruit is he can cancel Devil Fruits. I know there's like a degree that Haki can work against the Devil Fruit, but it's not a cancel. The guy calling it anti-magic was goofy. That doesn't make sense. Like, it's not even a thing in One Piece. Like, goddamn. Yeah, like I said, this was far worse than I thought. This was far worse than I thought. I will debate this guy on stream if he wants to. Urza can't win out without power of BS. I mean, you know what she could do instead? She could get a sword like Enma and get free power-ups. She could literally just wake up with power-ups. We could talk about the fact Wano has more permanent power-ups than all of Fairy Tail combined. More. Like, it's not even close. Like, Luffy's gotten, like, 3 power-ups just against Kaido. And these aren't temporary power-ups. These are permanent. What is it? Like, just since he got Enma, he got advanced... He got Conqueror's Haki, advanced Conqueror's Haki, and Rio. He got 3, like, Zoro got 3 permanent power-ups just from getting the sword. So, what do you mean? Like, what, Sanji's abilities just activate mid-fight, and he gets, like, regen and enhanced stats conveniently against Queen? I'm not going to hate, but if you want to compare, we can compare. We can compare which verse has more of these permanent power-ups, which one is, like, also more in their own verse. Like I said, Luffy's got more this arc than Natsu's had, like, total. Like, it's not even close. He said, like, what, like 3 or 4 power-ups, and it's all been since the time skip. Advanced all versions of Haki, Awakening. People tell me the voice of all things isn't a power-up, but he started to use it, like, at free will. And then he came back stronger. So I feel like that's just, like, that has to have something in there. Or at least just, like, he somehow got some Saiyan general power-up where he came back more powerful. Urza can enchant her swords without Wendy. What are you talking about? Urza kind of does get new armor to power up, though. It depends. Like, Urza's armors have never been... They've never been at a spot where they... Other than Minerva, but that was after literally like where everybody is getting power-ups and new abilities, and anybody who thought Urza wasn't going to come into that arc with something new was goofy and probably has never touched another shonen, considering that's literally every shonen after they come out of a power-up time skip arc is they pull out their new stuff. Only power-up Luffy has was Gear 4. I mean, he got observation Haki mid-fight against Katakuri, like literally mid-fight. He lost to Kaido and then conveniently got put in a prison next to a Rio teacher. Like, literally, plot put him next to a guy to give him the power he needed to fight Kaido. Came back more efficient. I mean, if you said, like, the voice of all things when, like, sure. But, I mean, like, he definitely came more powerful back from every other time he's done it. Like, the old dude legitimately was... invented and put next to Luffy to give him Rio. It wasn't a guy that he had to seek out and find. I think that would have been better, but he literally got sat next to this guy and it's like, well, I like you, I'll teach you. Like, right when he's like, I need to figure out a way to beat Kaido. Here you go. Urza makes no sense, like using Jaw's magic. When did she learn it? We saw Urza use Grand Chariot in Dragon Cry. What do you mean? She's done this since Dragon Cry. It's weird that she like pulled that in Dragon Cry, considering like we never saw a point. Like I would definitely say like in Dragon Cry when she used Grand Chariot, I thought it was strange, but we've known that she has been able to do that since then. And what year did Dragon Cry come out? Let me see this real quick. I saw Dragon Cry. I think that was 2016, 2017. So we've known that she can do that for 5 years. So you are 5 years out of date, Master Plan. Luffy had observation Haki. He had foreshadowing, but he unlocked it mid-fight conveniently against a guy who specialized in it. And then somehow it became at least close enough to where that they could actually have a fight. Are the Fairytale movies canon? Yes, both are confirmed canon. Both are confirmed canon. Phoenix Priestess takes place between Grand Magic Games and the Eclipse Spirits, and Dragon Cry takes place between Avatar and Alvarez. Wasn't there any stream about this? Oh, the guy just put it out there and we talked about it. This was he did an actual death battle Gravity Dragon. I want you to look on stream. This dude claims Luffy in base has hotter fire than Natsu. Dragon Cry is not sure about Phoenix one. Phoenix Priestess is canon. We see in, was it chapter 39, 100 Years Quest? Let me see. It might be chapter 38. When Natsu goes to Beta Heaven, that some of the people he sees are Eclair and Momon, and that wouldn't make any contextual sense if Dragon Cry was not canon. It wouldn't make any sense, because Natsu never would have met them, and there'd be no reason for them to be in the afterlife, pretty much, if they hadn't died in the events in the movie. I think it's chapter 37, or is it 36? I know it's called Beta Heaven. I know the chapter. Rumble and Drasil. Let me see. Is it chapter 37? Yeah, Beta Heaven. You see it in chapter 37 of 100 Years Quest. Let me see. Also, real quick, I have to do my quick shill. Let me do my quick shill. I'm at 30 people here, 31 people, 23 likes. I'd really appreciate it. You know, if you feel like it, give it a couple likes. You can donate if you want to. Obviously, that's optional. You don't have to. I do have YouTube membership now, so if you want to put in $1 a month, only $1. Again, optional. None of this. I don't want anything to feel like it's obligated. But you get stuff like, you get the little badge. I'm gonna put in more and more emojis, as well as you get priority messages. And then I am planning eventually to do some like game streaming stuff. And then the other one involves poll voting rights, so you would be able to vote on polls for future videos. Right now, I have one up where there are 4 character options to talk about. The characters being Ultir, Jackal, Wall, and Jura. So, like, if you wanted to, like, maybe say you wanted one of those guys to win specifically, you wanted to join, bam, you could vote for one of them and try and direct where things are going to go. Currently, Ultir winning, so, like, maybe by, like, Friday or so, I will start on that video and get ready for the next idea for a poll. Oh, thank you, Kenmano, for the $20 super chat. Would Fairy Tail be okay with a person who has personality of a snake? Yes, I mean they had Kinana. She literally was a snake. Turned into a snake. He's peaceful, but in Fairy Tail pesters him or tries to control him, he will lash out since my character is in control. Oh yeah, they wouldn't care about that because like one of the things is like they might try and pester him, but they wouldn't try and control him because like obviously they're gonna have people messing around with each other in the guild, but I mean like lash out and like fight. I mean the Guild Fairy Tales. That's what they're all about. I'd be fine with that. Eclairs and Zero as well. That is true. But, like, that argument, you can use something like how Haru in characters, and like how Natsu is in Eden Zero and stuff. That could just be a cameo where you can't have the scene in Beta Heaven without the fact that Phoenix Priestess happened. It's like how you can't deny that, you can't claim that Dragoncry isn't canon, considering we have 5th generation Dragon Slayers, and 4th gen was brought up in the movie, and we literally see the panel of 4th gen in the movie of, like, the Quantum, their names, Quartum Knights. I always want to say Quantum Knights. But yeah, thank you for the super chat, Kenmano. I was, like, looking at all these comments, and like, what the fuck happened to some of these? Yeah, they are canon though. Most of the stuff is canon. Like Mishima does a lot of adminning to make sure a lot of the additional stuff fits into the story. Both Canon and Katakuri train Luffy throughout the fight. I mean, like mid-fight things though. That's a power-up. He literally just got stronger mid-thing and got a brand new ability mid-fight. Like they even had the thing where Riley said like when backed into a corner or whatever, like Haki will just boost itself. Like that's literally a built-in power-up. That's like the Saiyan thing where they get stronger if they come back from death, but they don't even need to come back from death. They just need to be losing. Master Plan's just being mad. Master Plan, I don't know why you're so angry. And in fact, Urza using Jalal's magic signifies they're both spending more time together. I agree to that. That's a nice thing. That's a wholesome post, Gyu. How is Enma not a power-up? New sword is always a power-up for Zoro. I mean, yeah, like, it also, clearly the sword. I mean, let me say this, because there's going to be mad Zoro fans. Isn't Tartaros Wendy above Jura? The version of Dragon Force Wendy was, yes. But not Wendy at that point in general. But I will say, like, I gotta give Zoro some fair cred. Enma is a power-up, but Zoro's input also is a factor. It's kind of both. There is a degree to a power-up, but it's not like he just grabbed Enma and he was automatically, like, tiers above. Obviously, Enma is something he has to control, and he has to put the effort in to actually, like, have the ability of controlling it properly and using its ability properly. But there is absolutely factually, like, just having Enma is, like, a more dangerous weapon and gives him bigger attacks than he ever had before. I don't think there's anybody that would say, like, him wielding Enma baseline is not stronger than him wielding any of his other swords. I miss his other sword. What was the other sword called? I can't remember. The one he got from Ryuma. I know it's got another Japanese name. I always liked that one. But that, to be fair, like Ryuma's probably like my favorite swordsman in One Piece. I just thought he was really cool. Would servers curse technically solo P? Servers? You mean Zareth? Oh yeah, Zareth's... He would kill everybody. It's literally a instant death, soul-ripping god curse that resisted concept-destroying things. Happy being Logia from Edelus is the best theory. That'd be kind of funny. Wasteful things does nothing for power. I know that there's nothing that directly gives you power, but I mean, like, he came back stronger. I think maybe it could have just been like a Haki thing where it's just like a baseline boost. But Like, that one's I've kind of like, but I mean, that he did come back stronger. So I think that's one of those ones you could look at and kind of say maybe, but it's not like how, like, Luffy got advanced Conqueror Haki, where it's like, absolutely that's a boost. Joel doing nothing in Hunter's Quest, I mean, he has done stuff, but we haven't seen him in a while. Like, he was in Drasil. He just wasn't in Ellentir Ellis for obvious reasons. I would love for Joel to show back up and do stuff, though. It's one of my favorite characters in Fairy Tail. He said Haki blooms. That doesn't mean a power boost. It gets stronger. Come on, Sabo. Stop. You and I both know that means that they got stronger. He literally has developed higher levels of techniques from it when the scenarios were met. Gray versus Sanji. Gray flash freezes Sanji. Like, Gray just snaps his fingers, flash freezes the whole area. Like, Gray can freeze fire. Gray can freeze fire. And he's done that since part 1. What is Sanji's hope? Sanji can't hit hard enough to beat him. He doesn't have the heat to do it. He doesn't have the AoE. And even if you want to say, like... I mean, if you want to say something like how Sanji can fly, it's like, okay... Super freeze arrow, AoE. You could literally just, like, freeze the entire zone. Like, ice makes silver. Frozen. I'm not a good snapper. Stop reading half the comment. I'm reading it. I'm just not reading all out. I'll read the whole thing just for you, Sabo. You're getting Luffy understand coding better for power up, and Kaido said himself efficiency of coding got better at all. But I mean, like, at the same thing though, he came back literally from that stronger. I'm not saying that one for sure, but I do think that there is a degree of a power up there. Ignil versus Kaido. Ignil. Like, look at the feats. Come on, man. I gotta get the Biden in there. Come on, man. But like, Kaido's strong. I'm not gonna act like Kaido isn't powerful. Kaido is like Spriggan level in raw stats, but he doesn't really have much for hacks. I'd say Kaido is like, I mean, he's pretty much Mad Mole but serious. He's a non-goofy version of Mad Mole. And Ignil at a fraction of his strength was fighting Logia. Like, is in his dragon form. Like, come on. Do you think Julia Aquarius could solely entirety One Piece? No. I mean, there's like two things real quick. One, not everybody has a devil fruit, and two, there are ways that they can be like Aquarius can be hurt. Aquarius has like good damage and like obviously like manipulation of water, but Aquarius doesn't like have anything too scary for One Piece other than water. And Juvia, there are people that can hurt Juvia. Like, factually, there are people that can hurt Juvia. Juvia has water lock, but it's like the second she runs into somebody that has like Haki and not a devil fruit, she's gonna lose. Not like anybody, but anybody relevant. Phoenix Priestess is canon, so nullification magic. One of the characters are used as canon. Which part are you talking about in Phoenix Priestess? Telmersphobia instead of to fight One Piece. Yeah, Merphobia claps. Merphobia literally would just pick up the ocean and start attacking them. Like, Prime Ignil could take base dragon form Logia. I could see that. But, like, the thing is, like, I could see it, but Ignil said that Logia was stronger than he anticipated even beforehand. And if the level that Logia was at even beforehand was already something that Ignil had to worry about, then that would mean that, like, even Ignil in his prime, I don't think was at full level to really for Logia. Maybe, like, I think that he could fight him in prime. Ignil will probably put up a way better fight if Logia's actually more putting it, like, Logia's actually trying, but I don't think that he could beat base Logia. I think Logia, even as human form, could still beat him. You need to basically tame the Yandere. Who? Are you talking about for Jujutsu Kaisen? Can I say to be planetary? No, he's not. The thing is, like, people use, like, the whole Whitebeard feats, or Whitebeard claims, but there's no feats for it. And, like, Kaido has no feats for it. Big Mom has no feats for it. Roger and Shanks have no feats for it. Like, nobody in One Piece has feats for that. Like, even if you look at, like, the clash between... you can, like, look in the power output of, like, splitting the side, or splitting the sky from Yonko clashing. And, like, Jalal, people like Jalal can do more than that by himself, by getting angry. Natsu stomps even if you link Kaido to planet level. Yeah, I know. Urza can beat Jalal Laxus now. I don't think that she can beat Laxus or Jalal. Like, I legitimately don't. I think Urza could do better than her first fight, but I mean, like, I don't see I don't see Laxus standing there like Misaki did. Kaidos did be playing. Oh, they're making jokes at that. Remember the Phoenix Priestess was that person fighting Urza? Oh, that was a lady who was like, she was canceling her requips. She was like another requip wizard that was like canceling her requips as she was doing them. Anyway, let's see where kind of like where things are. I think I'm about caught up with the comments, though. What makes Luffy and Kaido continental? They should scale from the Whitebeard feats. From like Whitebeard shaking all those islands from miles away. Anyway, I'm going to call it good. I'm going to end the stream. Like, this was... I planned for like an hour and a half, or like almost 2 hours. We are at 2 hours. So yeah, we'll call it good here. 2 different 2-hour streams today, and I've got the 100 Years Quest chapter, whenever it comes out, that I got to get to. So other than that, you guys have a good day. This was fun, but at the same time, horrendous.